Avoiding common host mistakes. I think one of the most common host mistakes is just accepting every booking. Now, I'm not saying cancel bookings because that can actually negatively impact you, but just know that all money isn't good money. So make sure that you do your due diligence. It's always a way to show that this might be a red flag, and it could be through the guest submitting a license that's not theirs, or the license is expired, or it's temporary, or it's a conditional license, or it's a license that just weird stuff that guests will do on the platform that you may not really pay attention to because probably the money was good, or you just feel like, you know what, I'm comfortable with my last 4 bookings. Nothing really happened. I'm just gonna go ahead and let this slide. Everything will be good. You never know what can happen. That one red flag can actually lead to more potential problems and even more of an expensive trip than whatever the amount you're gonna get paid for. Because at the end of the day, the guest has already shown you red flags, so you never really know what they're going to do with the vehicle. Overbooking without enough time between each trip. This right here could also negatively impact you because what Turo does, and they didn't say this in their policy, but just from my experience, is that after you cancel a lot or you don't deliver well or a few bad reviews, it definitely impacts your search rank. You gradually notice that you get booked less and less and less. And on their end, it's kind of makes sense at the end of the day because it's their platform. They're gonna protect it at all costs. So if you're making them look bad, then they're going to try to hinder you from even that, giving them those kind of issues anymore. So just make sure that if you're going to book, create enough time to get the next one ready. So if this one ends at 3 and you know that you need 3 more hours, make sure that your trip buffer time gives you enough time, depending on how your lifestyle is, gives you enough time to get the next vehicle ready. A lot of times, you could get that. Even speaking of today, I have a vehicle coming back at 3:30, but then that same vehicle is going out at 6:30. So if you know within that time frame, it's not enough time for you to get the vehicle ready, clean it, take pictures, and deliver, then that's something that could negatively impact you in the long run. Taking too few photos. I feel like this is probably, should actually be number 1, is Turo requires 30 plus photos. I'd say give them 60 to 100. Make sure that you take every single detailed photo of every angle, because at the end of the day, it should protect you. And photos is one of the key points in protecting your business. It's evidence that you didn't do this damage and this guest did this damage, and now they need to get charged for the damage. And what a lot of people don't know is that damages, even the smallest damage, especially, can result into high payday. It's like a cheat code. Just make sure you take great photos so that you know that for sure you're getting your reimbursement. You don't want to lose in the business, and it's so easy to lose in the business. That's why there are so many people that may feel like Turo is not meant for them, but it's just not doing the due diligence and understanding the system. And this is one of the reasons why I provide videos like this to help it enhance. I already know it, so solely just for you guys watching. It's not really for my benefit, especially when it comes to these series. I do think that another common mistake that hosts do make is communication. I feel like not enough balanced communication happens when it comes between the host and the guest. So it's very important that you provide proper communication. Slow replies is honestly a negative. It's like a red flag. If I was a guest trying to book with you and you're barely responding, that just shows that you're barely showing interest in this thing that I just paid a whole lot of money for. And it just kind of shows how my experience is going to be. So I think that fast replies during the duration of that trip is very essential. Your automated messages too kind of enhance the guest. Oh, they're gonna reply on time, or you know what I'm saying? Like sending simple messages like, hey, thanks for booking my Honda Accord. It's a pleasure to host you during the duration of your trip. If you have any questions at all, feel free to text me on the platform, or if you felt like a faster route will be my number. Here's my direct phone number. You can call me right over. You know, just little stuff like that to definitely enhance the communication goes a long way. Dispute and damage handling masterclass. So of course, how to document damage. How does Turo know that this damage was caused by the guest and not caused by you? Or how do you provide proper evidence to make sure that you do get the proper reimbursement for these damages? I think one of the main factors is, of course, your pre-trip photos, but just also you have 24 hours to document the damage. So when documenting the damage, there's already pre-trip photos that have said this damage was not caused by you, but then post-trip photos is the evidence that the damage actually happened. And this needs to be created within the 24-hour window. So after 24 hours, they still give you an option to report damage, but your chances of that damage actually getting resolved is now very slim. Angles, timestamps, proper angles. So make sure that you document the right angles so that you can get the accurate reimbursement. Nobody's gonna come out and look at the vehicle unless it's like something crazy. But there's not necessarily an agent. You know how like insurance, like on Progressive or Geico, if there's a bad damage, they'll come out and check on it. Most cases, this doesn't happen with Turo. It's all through remotely. So you need to make sure that you get your right angles right and take proper pictures with the proper lighting and the timestamps. So that's why I say that 24-hour window is very essential, because you might think that they have no way of knowing when that damage actually occurred or when the picture was taken, but you'd be wrong. They do know. So now with damages, I feel like a frequent question is, what's considered a damage? How bad does the damage have to be considered damage? And then sometimes you might report a damage and Turo might think it's a cleaning issue. For example, like a scratch. So they'll call you, do like a video call and like, okay, wipe that scratch off. Let's make sure it's just not a cleaning issue. So that's when they differentiate between damage and cleaning. But now, depending on your insurance plan, that kind of also goes hand in hand with the damage resolution. So if you're on like a 90% protection plan, meaning you get 90% of your earnings, then a lot of damages that will happen will actually not be considered. The damage literally has to be something excessive for it to be considered under the 90% protection plan, because in their case, you're getting most of your money. So now if you're on something like a 60% or 75% insurance plan, then anything above 3 inches or more is acceptable for reimbursement. I think another thing too that is important is, how do you speak to Turo when damages happen? I feel like a lot of people, when their vehicles obviously get damaged, you're upset. And that emotion is how you talk to your insurance agent. But then we forget that the insurance agent is also the same person responsible to making sure you get a reimbursement or making sure that your damage is handled correctly. But then you don't want to show that emotion. At the end of the day, this is a business and these things happen when you rent out cars. Nobody's above accidents. This is literally meant to happen over time renting vehicles. So you just have to have that at the back of your mind. And I feel like when you have that at the back of your mind, when damages happen, you know how to process them and proceed with them. So I'll just say, keep a calm composure whenever speaking to a Turo insurance agent. If you need any more info at all, be sure to sign up for my mentorship and coaching program. All you have to do is simply DM me on Instagram, the word Turo, or letting me know you're from YouTube and you found my video and you would like to sign up. What this offers is in-depth insights of Turo and how to be successful, as well as one-on-one phone calls and emails with me, showing you examples and ways and giving you tips on how you can profit, optimize, develop, and scale to become one of the biggest all-star Turos on the platform.